Comic Core Unlimited. Sorry about this. Actually, I wanted to shout out a couple of things right off the bat. This is going to be a fun show. We're actually going to continue with the topic from last week. I wanted to bring that out right now because I know I got a few people asking me about that on Instagram. Hey, are you going to show some other kind of stuff? I said, yes, we will. Of course, it's unlimited. We started on time because 9:05 was our start time. So I will now hand it off to my brethren right there, Mr. John's Comics with Kids.
Thanks for coming, everybody. I'm excited to continue this somewhat new format for our show, with including segments on speculation and all that good stuff. But let me shout out the chat. There were some people tailgating right off the bat. Comic Man Andy and Chris Barrett. Those guys are awesome. JP Budget Collecting. Great guy, great friend. Ben Compton. Old Wolf. He sent me a picture of his Crown Royal, rocking and ready, saying, I'm ready for some hours of comic book talk tonight. And I really appreciate that, Tony. You're a rocking cool guy. TJ, the Slab Dragon Watson's.
Hey, TJ, how we doing?
Yeah, man. Good to have you here, brother. Gray Matter Hulk. Yes, the king is here. And I got a ton of books, and I barely had time to read. I was literally reading and listening to the gang while I was reading my last book, so that I was ready to go. So I have fully read all my books. I am on it. And let's see. Smash that like button. I do agree, Comic Man Andy. Thank you very much. We do appreciate that. And if those that don't know us on this channel, we have shows every single night of the week. It's all linked and listed below in our description for the most part. But you got Monday Story Comic Board Core, Tuesday Golden Guys, Wednesday you got us on the Comic Core Unlimited, Thursday you got Outside the Issues, Friday you got Off the Rails. You can't miss this stuff. There's too much going on here. Too much. Now we got the Comic Queen Nat's in the chat. She's probably here because she knows what dropped this week. She's not missing out on stuff. She knows what's up. And then Mother Boy Misexplained, who is a member of our panel, is here as well. Jason, how you doing, man?
Good, homie. Yeah, just kicking it.
You're not no fat rats, no cheese factories?
no fat rats, no cheese factories, not yet. But we did hear from Caleb on Monday on the Story Comic Core show. We kind of revamped it and did like a 90s show. So if you like 90s comics, we busted out our favorite 90s covers and talked about a story a little bit. Mine won. Everyone voted for mine.
Great one. Can't go wrong with that. Yeah. That's the best Spider-Man run, I still say to this day.
That's awesome. You got to love
I really don't like a lot of Spider-Man
foil. Yeah, the foil, and it has like a rainbow glare to it. But yes, it's my first comic book I ever owned, so it had a lot of significance and importance to me too.
Damn,
so.
You're young.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we actually heard from Caleb in the chat, and so he's doing good. He just has to get faster internet and stuff. So hopefully he'll be back to the comic book community sometime soon, because we miss that guy. So
that's awesome. And it looks like we had Bear Island Comics jumping in the chat. Thank you for coming by, buddy. And I want to say I missed one other person, but I'm sorry if I'm not catching. A Comic Core is in the chat. I'm assuming that is Chad, who's helping produce a little bit for us tonight. What's our record over your shoulder there, brother?
Oh, because that's from 90s Night. The DOC.
Oh.
Dude, classic, man.
Mm-hmm.
Old school 90s hip-hop. So
yeah.
That's kind of like my favorite era. I think of hip-hop is like early 90s.
JD's throwing some fire at you. He's showing you up a little bit.
DS. No. I want to say to you this. This is somebody asked me why.
Oh, dude, sick.
Why I went to go see Mark Bagley. I said, because this was my first Spider-Man, like this was the ending of my favorite Spider-Man run and my only Spider-Man run I ever liked. And somebody told me to like the 340s or something, 330s, like it was McFarlane and then it wasn't. And
Larson.
It was Larson right after that. And then we get
Bagley
take over. But Dave Michelin is writing the whole time, and Michelini or whatever.
Is that 9.8?
And I got to meet him and I forgot this book.
Dude, that's incredible.
I saw Bagley and I got it. So if I ever see Michelini again, because I got Michelini to sign other ones.
Oh, dude, that's so awesome.
I got this one at home.
That's beautiful. I definitely
run I ever liked.
That's on my list as a 9.8 sign by Bagley. That's just the best part.
Bagley's easy to find, man. He's great too, man. He's easy.
So good. I wish Bagley still like did art as detailed as this. It's a little more toned down now, but he just really took the time back then. You know, I love Bagley so much. So cool.
Yep. Good stuff.
Pocan Joe is in the chat. Thank you for coming by, brother. And DS Comics, one of our Golden Age guru guys from the Golden Guys show on Tuesday. Thank you for coming by.
The oldest show, we're
the oldest show by age of the people on the show or by the books?
books. maybe overall the show, maybe.
So we always start with what we've been reading lately. JD, you didn't have much read last week. You were super busy. Do you have anything that this week that you've been reading? Any back issues? Any new stuff?
Yes. I caught up on the trades of the original New Avengers Ed Brubaker run.
Ooh.
I wanted to start that again. Kind of not getting into the speculation, but getting more into speculation as far as buying comics or anything like that, but speculation discussing it. And I've kind of I rewatched Endgame, and I've heard a lot of the stuff about the cosmic and everything. And I sat there and I said, you know something? They keep talking about A-Force and everything else, but in New Avengers, there's a storyline in there that A-Force can jump right in if it was to do that. So I'm just rereading it. It's more Ed Brubaker, which, he's Winter Soldier creator. So,
right.
And I've Marvel hasn't let me down with writers they've used material from, whether it be Jim Starlin or, anybody that the Spider-Man ones are whatever. They're not really taken. I guess this one was taken a little bit from a Mysterio, 15 and 42, that storyline where he's at the fair. That storyline, but that's just good stuff. And I'm a big fan. So I started rereading old trades on stuff like that. So Ed Brubaker's New Avengers run is really good. And because I'm in anticipation, I picked up a readable copy of my
Nice.
I have all my scalped, my first 25 issues are leather bound. I have the rest of them. I'm going to finish leather binding them because I call this the book that brought me back.
Nice.
I only left for a short time, though, to be honest with you.
I want to say I've read the first 2 trades, and that's about as far as I got.
It's pretty. I think if this was done, this is kind of a combination of, but it's years before. It was during the Sopranos time. So when it was done, so Sopranos and Sons of Anarchy combined with
definitely Sons of Anarchy. I get that. Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy, the Soprano style, but then you've got the impact of the Native American culture in the casino world.
Yep.
It's great.
Too cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Just a Rican and
Yeah.
we got Rod from Just a Rican in his comics and White Whale Comics in the chat. Thank you for coming by, guys. So what about you, Jason? Anything you've been reading? Pugman? Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
Thanks. I've been reading Spencer and Locke. It's from Action Lab. I guess on the S&B network on that channel every Sunday. We got a show at 2:00. I think this Sunday we're going to be interviewing the writer for Spencer and Locke. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Chad, you don't got to zoom in on me. I don't have anything to show physically. Thank you, though. But as for this week, the new stuff that came out, Batman vs. Ra's al Ghul, written and art by Neil Adams. I was really excited for it, but I did not like that. I think that's going to be my turd of the week, unfortunately, dudes. I had high hopes for it, dude. I think he's just out of touch with his writing skills. You know what I mean? It had kind of old lingo kind of slang in there, and it was really corny. I would say maybe it felt like a
80s.
Yeah, I would say I feel like an 80s comic, I guess. So maybe if you're into that, go for it, man. If you missed that,
if you like Secret Wars 1 when you reread it recently, you'd like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Deceased, A Good Day to Die was pretty good, man. Had a really cool ending.
Who are the lead characters in that? Is it Big Barda and Mr. Miracle, or is it a cast?
Yeah, it's Mr. Miracle and Big Barda for the most part. Then they get to Mr. Terrific, and then later on Constantine, and Blue Beetle and Booster Gold as well.
Maybe I could pick that up. It's I would be more interested in hearing about than the ones in the regular title.
Yeah, and it's left open ended, but I think it's supposed to be a one shot, pretty sure. Yeah, I hope they continue the series, or I want to know what happens next. You know what I mean?
Sure. I love the cover A with Big Barda wailing down and pulling Mr. Miracle out of the horde of beasts. Cover.
I'm pretty sure it had a bunch of different artists and stuff too, which didn't work for the first issue of Deceased for me. But I remember I liked this one a lot. especially when it came out of the boom tube in the beginning. It's just really, really nice art. Doomsday Clock number 11. I never thought that would ever come out, and it was incredible. The first things I read today were Doomsday. What's that?
Just one left.
Yeah, I know. This is the penultimate issue, Yeah, the first reads I did today were Doomsday Clock and House of X number 4. So it's like 2 heavy reads right off the bat. And my brain was fried like right after. I had to take a couple of hours break. Yeah, those were incredible. Those are my picks of the week for sure, hands down. I didn't think anything could be Doomsday Clock until I read House of X number 4.
Dude, yeah, that book. I don't know which. Oh, you're reading it digitally, right?
Yes.
I got the Angel version.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Angel and Archangel through the years. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And I was at work and I got an Instagram from Jabroni, Edwin, the comic Jabroni, and he's like, John, I just read the book. I'm only sending this video to you, dude. It's insane. You got to read it. And yeah, he's 100% right. This was a great issue.
Is this Hickman really showing Marvel one more time that he can take a series 6 to 10 issue set, because we know he doesn't love it, but can he do this for a full run? Yeah,
well, there's last week in your LCS you could pick up for free. It was a little Marvel magazine thing, and give a bunch of interviews in there. And in there they interviewed Hickman, and they asked him about the X-Men title coming up, the regular title that he's writing. And he says something along the lines of, I can't quote him exactly, but it's something like he wrote each issue like a one and done.
That's what I thought he was saying.
And
like
they're going to have like still the interconnectivity, they're still connected, but that you're going to be able to pick up any issue and just drop it off and come back into it whenever you want. So
that's his specialty. That's what he likes doing.
Until I read the one right before this, had a clear cliffhanger. And you were like, okay, I almost felt like the last one and this one are the only 2 I felt needed to be read together.
Right, for sure.
I mean, Kirkman does arcs. I mean, he's known for short arcs, 6 issue, 10 issue, 12 issue arcs. It's Secret Wars, the Fantastic Four run. It's not like it's his creator-owned stuff, which he can pace himself when he puts it out. You know what I mean? He's a very methodical writer. He's not like Aaron, who writes 12 months in advance and then hands it off to the writer, to the artist. He writes like 4 months in advance and then hands it off. He's very particular. I mean, is this in the interview that he's very particular about what he chooses to write?
I don't remember the full entire interview, but that was like the part that stood out to me, because I was really curious in how the series was going to be after this. You know what I mean?
He's redoing it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it could get any better than what's happening right now in both House of X and Powers of 10. Like, how can you beat that? And then I guess into the series, it's going to be just one and done. So that's pretty cool. But I just really enjoyed this like overarching crossing over between 2 series kind of thing. It's so dope. And like the ending of this, like the little decoder message at the end, it says, next, something sinister. So Mr. Sinister's coming on next.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Very stoked.
221, everybody. X-Men 221. Go get it.
So like, dude, I've had that in my eBay want list forever, man. And you can get like a nice like copy for like $100, dude. Like,
I sold a bunch of them. I was selling them for $10-20.
That's been on my top for a while.
Even on our auctions.
As a kid, like Mr. Sinister's been one of my favorite villains, just because his design is so dope. I always thought he looks so sick. He looks sinister. You know what I mean?
When he was vampire-esque in the Gambit series, that's when I liked him the most.
Like, I wish he was cooler. Besides,
because I like the Assassin's Guild.
Yeah,
like the Assassin's Guild. See, I don't consider that an X-Men story, so I tell everybody, I know I'm not a fan of the X-Men. I like the current run, obviously, and I've liked a few runs, but I've never been. I need to go get it and get every X-Men. Well, I got the spinoff of Gambit, which is kind of like the Assassin's Guild and everything. And I like that because you have Mr. Sinister as he's in the later one, so it's good stuff. All right,
dude, Doomsday Clock was super powerful also, and that one is like you need to, read the whole entire series. But I actually like this series though. If you don't want to read the whole entire series and you want to take a shortcut to finding the answers and get everything spoiled for you, just pick up this issue, because Mantius explains everything and what his plans were for. So if you don't feel like reading the series, want to take a shortcut, just get this issue.
I'm just gonna read the trade. I think it sounds amazing, and I'm ready to like.
It is worth reading from the beginning. Yeah, it is worth reading from the beginning to the end. It's that good. I love it. I think Truman Shu's not a fan of it, but like he's the only guy I know that doesn't like it. Maybe it's just the art he doesn't like, but yeah, I love it. It's one of my top comics all the time. I would give it like this issue like 10 out of 10, if not like a 9 out of 10. But like X-Men, hands down, was a 10 out of 10. Just those 2 issues back to back were super powerful.
Can I shout out some people in the chat? We got Bentley and aggressively relaxing, jumping in. Jason Smith. Lots of people have been rolling in. Blasted or Stash It came by. Thank you guys for joining us. Much appreciated. Ooh, JD's showing up.
There you go, Jason. This is the Gambit run I was talking.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yeah. It's kind of it's all right. It's not my favorite run, but it's
that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
The Chad was messing with you with the little title.
Oh, Chad, sorry. Yeah, sorry. There you go. The Assassin's Guild and the Gambit series.
Yeah, the reason I bring up Doomsday Clock up again is because they slightly mention Rebirth. It shows Lex Luthor in the background of Wally and Barry's reuniting. So that was pretty cool. But then, I guess, Dr. Manhattan messed with time. So in this current Justice League, I'm not sure if they're going to tie this in at all or what's going on, but in Justice League, some teams went to the future, some teams went to the past. And the past team, which is John Stewart, Green Lantern, and Barry Allen, meet the Justice League of Society, or the JSA. Yeah. And so super cool, awesome. And they're like, who are you? Like, we don't know each other. Like, they've never met.
Wait, who's this? The Justice League, the new one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the newest issue. Yeah, it's awesome. So I think maybe that might be kind of connecting with Doomsday Clock in that way, because they're like, we never met before, we don't know each other, but you're a Flash also, Jay Garrett, and like you're a Green Lantern, Alan Scott, so like my powers work different than yours, and that's really cool. He was like, I don't know what a Green Lantern Corps is, like what's going on. So it's really cool seeing the interaction. And then in the future team, they meet Commandy, the last boy on Earth, and that was really cool. And then speaking of Commandy, he was also inside the Legions of Superheroes Millennium #1, written by Bendis. And I had high hopes for that because I was excited to see this futuristic team. But guess what? It's all about a Bendis character. It's all about Rose and Thorn, that new Punisher vigilante kind of female character. And it's just a Rose and Thorn issue. Like, are you kidding me? Like, Bendis, dude, what are you doing? But it's fine. She's one of the Bendis characters, the new ones that I actually kind of dig, but still I was disappointed by seeing that. But it's her through time. I guess she can't die. She's just ages forever. So you have Batman Beyond in there. That's pretty cool. And then you have Commandy later on. And then I guess hopefully in issue 2 we'll see the Legion of Superheroes. So I don't know. It's only a 2-issue series, so I'll probably get the next one to finish the story.
Comic book message.
Chad, 90 miles from comics. Thank you for coming by, brother. Much appreciated as always. They're mentioning Alan Scott is the Green Lantern, Chris Barrett said.
I also wanted to give one more to that new Tynion series that came out today. I think it was on Boom. Yes.
This one right here?
Yes, it is awesome. I had an advanced copy and I read it I think a couple days ago. But yeah,
it's worth the book. So tonight on White Whale Comics channel, we are reading this. We were supposed to be joined by Tacoma Comics, but his shop did not get enough of it, so he was unable to get one. Thankfully, Mr. Bueller got one, and
nice,
he said, I'll happily join and review it. So we got Bueller joining us on Alex's channel tonight.
I love that Frizzen cover. That's awesome.
Yeah, my LCS sold out. They snagged me one. They were like, dude, they were almost all damaged, and everybody wanted one. Mm-hmm. So I was super pumped to get one. And it's a virgin variant. There's like nothing. There's no trade dress at all.
Nice. Very cool.
Gorgeous. And super creepy she is.
Yeah, for sure. That book is really good, though. What's it called? It's like Children.
Some Things Killing the Children.
Yeah.
Which is a creepy title. Yeah,
I would say that would be like my pick of the week if it wasn't for X-Men and Doomsday Clock.
I'm with you 100%. I think it's hard for anything to beat House of X this week, and I was very, very pleased with it. And I had mentioned on Buyer Path with Rod yesterday that I loved issue 3 of House of X last week. And I was like, there's no doubt in my mind that the payoff is coming in the next issue, that the setup and the shocking explosion at the end of last week's issue was paid off beautifully, I thought, this week in a race through that space station.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved this book.
Like at the end of the last issue, you're like, wow, did everyone die? Like what happened? And this one, you see it did some damage. Like
It's awesome.
they got damaged like hard.
And it only continues. Like that arc.
It was so intense, man. It's such a good issue.
Absolutely. And then I've only got one book I've ever put on my pull list where I've asked for both covers, and it's Die. And I got both covers this week. This one is my favorite, though, the one with the Titan in the background. And it was a very good issue, centering on the 2 characters who chose to stay in Die and not go home, and have ditched the other ones, and so now nobody can go home. So we're getting to see kind of what happened to them after they fled Glasstown. It was really cool.
I got to catch up. I got to read, I think, the last 2 issues. So what I did last week was I read the whole entire thing up to a certain point. So I'm like almost caught up. So it's more fresh in my mind. And
it reminds me a little bit of, for any Game of Thrones fans, the books, when they got to the part where they started splitting the narrative and they had like 2, this book's going to cover these characters and this book covers those characters, or Lord of the Rings when they split and you had like one group going this way, one group. Right. This is the same thing. We got 2 characters in one world and 3 in another. And the first issue of this run, issue 6, focused on one of those groups, and we didn't find out what happened to the others. This is the other side. Now we see what's happening simultaneously with the other group. So reading them together would probably be like one really great full book. Basically.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm still really enjoying Lois Lane. So this is Lois Lane issue 3, the Greg Rucka run. I love the comments that are being made on Men versus Women. She's being held to a crazy standard because a photo came out of her kissing Superman, and now everybody thinks that she's having an affair with Superman and cheating on her husband Clark Kent. And Superman,
little did they know.
Well, but the great commentary that they're making is that Superman, people are doubting if it's true or what's going on. But with her, they're completely, the media just fully judges her because she's a woman and that what she's doing is so horrible. It's an interesting look at the way people view men versus women when it comes to cheating and things like that. And then I freaking love Renee Montoya as the Question. And you get question versus question.
Oh, dope.
It is awesome.
I got to read that now.
I don't want to give away what happens and how it plays out, but it is a cool fight. It lasts like 4 pages. It is great. Question versus question.
Dude, I got to read that.
Yes, and yes, this cover is gorgeous. Chris Barrett, she's amazing. I thought it was a Frizen cover, but I looked inside and it was somebody else. Sana, I can't remember. Thank you, Alec. Yes, I owe you a thank you. It says cover artist is Sana Takeda. Sana is the first name, and then Takeda. That's what the name of the cover artist is. I thought it was Frizen, but it's not.
Very good.
But it's gorgeous, and I've really enjoyed this run. I think it's underrated, and it's too bad people are not into it. Of course, I got the Immortal Hulk, and this is a payoff. Last week was a big setup of the Gamma Alpha. Was it? Gamma Flight is attacking the station, and you've got the creepy general, and he is wearing the Abomination suit. So it's him and his soldiers versus Hulk and his crazy Gamma crew. I love that Puck gets a whole bunch to do in this book. He's beating the snot out of people, being a smart ass, doing all these cool flips and moves. I thought this was a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Does he get fastball specialed?
Yes. No, not quite. He does his own kind of version because he's working with Creel,
He doesn't do the fastball special thing?
No, not exactly. No. But something, I don't want to give it away, but there are some cool moves. It's basically a giant fight. I think it's a really cool issue, considering that I felt like the one in before this was kind of a setup. This is a bigger payoff. I really enjoyed this. And then if the read of the week was House of X, second place.
Oh, dude, I can't wait to read that.
Old Man Quill, dude. This issue is starting to make me really feel like this is better than Old Man Hawkeye, which was better than Old Man Logan for me. Like, this keeps getting better. And dude, Old Man Quill basically fighting down against this crew of the minions from the church.
Nice guy. That's awesome. Fastball special. That's what that is.
This is basically Quill gets inside the Hulkbuster suit and just starts mowing down these guys. It gets brutal and violent, and the creative ways that he takes out these guys that should be able to take him out, it's really cool.
I can't wait to read that. That's so good.
So it was 3 issues in a row that I think are among the best that Ethan Sachs has ever done.
Yeah.
7, 8, and 9 are phenomenal. I can't even imagine where 10, 11, and 12 are going to go.
I'm glad I got like my thick reads over with and like the drama heavy ones, the dialogue heavy ones, because now it's time for fun. And I love my Old Man Quill. Punisher came out today as well, I believe.
Punisher.
Yeah, like I'm just excited to have some fun.
I'm saying that this Punisher run is very underrated, and I'm
great.
that.
It's awesome.
Thinking that a lot of people aren't talking about it because it's like one of those hidden things I've always liked. And I got the first trade, and I went there. I said, I'm going to get the first trade because I bought the first 2 or 3 issues, and then I was really into it. The Mike Zeck covers, and I was into everything about it. And I kind of fell more in love with Daredevil, the Chip Zdarsky. But then as it's gone along, Punisher has creeped up and kind of taken that spot to where I'm switching. Zdarsky's going to trade, and
What?
he's going week to week. Yeah.
Wow.
It happens. I mean, that's what I want to. It's what I want to read next. It's a different way of buying modern comics for me. Because I can't have a big pull list, and I really want to narrow it down. And I hate giving up after like 6 issues of an issue, but I have to sometimes. Sometimes you have to. Sometimes you get it at 2, 1.
Yeah.
It's a really tough thing to do, especially when you're like, oh, I really like that, but this is so much better, Or you just buy all of them, like I used to do.
Brandon Stawicki saying Punisher is always a fun read. Not reading the current one. I did pick up a Punisher one-shot called Force of Nature. The cover is him versus a whale, and I had to get it.
Yeah. There's always a good Frank Castle. Yeah. And, if you ever get one, look up who did the Punisher Max series.
Yeah, Garth Ennis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that.
The freakiest one. That's an underrated, really dark version of Frank Castle.
Yeah, that's probably the best version of Punisher like that's ever been written.
That's the one we got. That's the one we want. That's
So I think we're ready to move on, but this is the second part of our show that you're going to get every Wednesday. We're doing a sort of undervalued, underrated spec sort of segment. We're looking at books that we think are primed, or books that have a long-term play that you could really look at as an investment book if you already like some elements of that. I've got a few that are characters and storylines I already really like, and I'm trying to think, well, if I get them now before they get out of hand, that I can at least have those books in my collection, not necessarily for flipping sake, but because I want them and I don't want to have to pay an exorbitant rate if they go way, way up. JD, I think you were ready to roll on this. Did you already want to get going, or you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I went Marvel last time. I was Marvel heavy. This time I'm going to go DC heavy. And the one I want to bring up first, I was just talking about a bit ago, and I can't tell you enough that I think Renee Montoya as The Question is a good investment book.
Oh, for sure.
Her first appearance as The Question and her own first appearance. I think these are undervalued books that could definitely get a nice bump. Her character is supposed to be coming out here soon, but I also think that there's a little more longevity to this character than simply a TV series appearance or whatever. I think it's a great character who I'm very entertained by, especially in this current Rucka Lois Lane storyline. And that made me curious and interested to have copies of these books. They're really underrated and cheap. Like, you can get these books for cheap. You might even find them in dollar bins and back issue bins. This 52 run doesn't have a lot of keys, and it's easy to find them just kind of slammed in places. So underrated character, underrated books. This is Batman 475 and 52 week 48. So So definitely want to shout out that character, Renee Montoya, and Renee as the question. Did you have one you wanted to do, anybody?
Sure. Actually, I want to talk about something with about speculation and series that are undervalued for this case. And I'm going to go with John talked about the good read and everything else, and that's perfect. I'm going to talk about that these are okay reads, great art, but it's a dawn of an era. It's the Defenders. Okay. So there's Marvel, the Defenders start way before the Marvel Feature 15. It starts in Hulk 126, Doctor Strange 183 or 182 or 183, and a Submariner 22. And then a year later, they come out with Submariner 34, Submariner 35, and then Marvel Feature 1, which is the high grade one, where I have it ready to go to CGC. I guess I can look for it. But this is one here where this is like the first issue of Defenders, the first one called Marvel Feature.
Yeah.
Starts a whole new run. But the best part about it is there's sneaky first appearances in the middle of these.
Really?
Jump up and down that people don't realize. And I always bring up this book as an undervalued character, Starhawk. It's Starhawk. This is his first appearance. It's in the Defenders. Valkyrie rides her horse in this one. She becomes a Defender very early on in the series as well. And then you can see her down here. So it's a key character. And if you think about who Marvel is building up to, you've got a Hulk that's friends with the Valkyrie and Doctor Strange over there. Usually have the Silver Surfer sometimes, but then of course you've got sometimes the Black Knight. So you've got another character, the George Tuska cover. These are getting very pricey. These are very pricey. There's a Marvel special, Marvel Superhero 17, which I didn't go digging for, that I said I was going to bring up, but I had a fantasy football draft, so I forgot. But is one Marvel Superhero 17. Chad, if you can find a picture of it, it's got the origin of the Black Knight. It's not the one, it's one just before Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the origin story of Dane Whitman and how he gets the night powers. And it's not the Sir Percy. This is Dane Whitman. So, and this is why this is the first appearance of the Black Knight, Dane Whitman, because the one before it is first appearance of Dane Whitman, but he's not the Black Knight until here. So, huge storyline. If you don't know, Jon Snow, Whitman is coming. There it is. Yeah, good one. And then try Marvel Superheroes. I think it's 17. It's got a Black Knight on it. Mine's better than that copy, by the way.
Good evening, TiVo, Lord of the Long Box. Thank you for shouting us out.
Thank you very much, TiVo. Very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, man.
And by the way, Blasted or Stash It. Very cool to have you guys here as well. That was one thing I was kind of talking about Defenders, and I think everybody's focusing on Avengers storylines, but they have this Doctor Strange going through the nightmare is exactly what leads him into the Defenders. He's a Defender. And Hulk, what pisses Hulk off about the Avengers is what the Defenders aren't. And you're adding in, of course, Submariner, who you can first appear with Black Panther. I mean, there's so many. To me, this is the new Avengers. They're going to have their A-Force team, and we're going to have what I would call the nut stuff, which is going to be the Defenders. I really think it's going to be good.
That would be cool if they finally
I personally feel that what I want to see and what so far has been pretty good. We've been pretty lucky. They go down this road, but they take one of the later storylines. Like Eternals, I don't think they go into the original storyline run. I think you could take all those books and be like, this isn't it. I think they go into this volume 3 or volume 4. I think the volume 3, the one in 2004 to 2005, I think they're going to go that run as well. I was going to bring that up later on, but go ahead. That's my, I guess you would say speculation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that the Comic Core as a channel, we're not a big speculation channel, and I know that our show, even the Unlimited show, not a big spec. We're not here to flip books. We don't want to do this for cash. We're talking about we're collectors and readers, and we don't want to overpay for books. We're eventually going to anyways. So in these cases, certainly the books I've been bringing up, they're books that I already want, or I'm finding out, ooh, this character's interesting. I want that. And I'm trying to prioritize which ones I want to get based on how quickly I think they're going to go up in value. I do think that Renee Montoya has value. I think, like you're saying, I totally agree. Defenders has value going forward. These are books that I think will go up more, and that's why we're sort of getting the pre-spec almost, if you will, the books that we think are just undervalued. And if you really like those characters, you like those stories, you might want to consider putting them on your list.
There was a recent discussion about Swamp Thing on. Apparently, it might be resurrected, but not on a DC basis. Not on a Marvel basis. Don't even go down that road. It's not going to be that. Apparently, it's going to be the independent group of DC. There is an independent group of Warner Brothers DC that is interested in continuing it as an ongoing film with different, but they're going to reboot. But that's what they were talking about, but that's the storyline they're going with. They want to do a true, origin. I just thought it was interesting that this was actually something that was being discussed at the Warner Brothers offices. I would never say that Swamp Thing, you should go out and buy Swamp Things because it's too late for that, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's way too expensive. But again, I mean, which storyline are we talking about? There's a whole Constantine thing we haven't had yet.
TiVo says they're actually shopping Swamp Thing around because it's too expensive the way CW is looking at it.
For sure. Yeah.
That's TiVo. That's exactly what I heard. Yep.
So, Jason, did you have any books that you think are undervalued spec-wise? Do you think this is something people should be looking for? Or just if you see it in a short box, consider it?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to do my screen share? Yeah, dude, Uncanny X-Men we talked about earlier. Yeah, 221, man, first appearance of Mr. Sinister. I wish we could have got a Sinister cover as his first appearance.
Yeah.
I love those when they match up, you know what I mean? But he's just one of my favorite looking villains. And you can get this, like at 9.6, you can get it for like under $100. So like, I think it's just an easy buy, and it's only a matter of time before he pops up in a movie or something.
Totally.
Yeah. He's just been around and a mainstay in the X-Men universe for a while, so I think it's just an easy buy, easy pick. So I've been eyeing up one, and I'm probably going to get like a 9.6 sometime soon. So
yeah, he's good for you.
You talk about those like classic X-Men headline villains, and you got your Apocalypse, you got your Sinister, you got your Magneto. I think those guys are just mainstays, and you're guaranteed that they show up at different points.
Yeah,
they're not going anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, the one other one I wanted to mention is a more modern one, another DC one. I'm really enjoying Godspeed, the villain.
Oh, hell yeah.
Rebirth run. Mm-hmm. I do think he's got a bit of a scattered first appearance set. So you kind of got to get a few different books to kind of get all of his little first appearances, both in costume, out of costume, and all that kind of thing. I think it's just a really underrated, undervalued run. Not to use a term for Flash that probably wouldn't really fit well. But I think that Godspeed is a character that I had that. Oh, here's another one. Has some legs.
Yes, I love Godspeed. He's so cool.
And I do think is a character that will continue to kind of exist in that Flash universe and has keys that you can find easily. I bought a lot of these off of Instagram where I saw people selling, I got 3 or 4 of these, $1 a piece or whatever. And I was just, I'll get one here, one there. And little by little, I'm getting the whole set because I do think it's a good character with some longevity to them.
Did you see that CW Flash show with Godspeed in it?
I didn't, but I heard good things.
It's just one episode. You can just watch that episode by itself. It's just called Godspeed is the name of the episode. But man, it was so cool. I never thought I'd see him like on TV or in a movie. You know, I feel like it's too early. So it's so cool.
Whole storyline that they do at the beginning of Rebirth, where you see what it's called lightning strikes twice, right? You get to see the idea that like a huge chunk of the city gets struck by the same energy that created the Flash, and now there's like a whole group of people with this power.
Right.
Flash is trying to train some of them, and people are using it. Some are using it for good, some are using it for evil. Like, what's going to happen? I think it's a real cool storyline.
Oh, it's awesome.
You could make a film out of it. You can make a season of a show out of it. It's a real good story.
Very cool.
And the evolution of Godspeed. You know, you get a good story arc for the villain as well as the hero.
Right. Yeah. Great pick. I like how he kind of rides that line in between. You know, sometimes he's a villain and he's like kind of misunderstood and becomes a good guy. And yeah, it's good, great character. Awesome pick.
Yeah, it felt for me very much like a Punisher Daredevil kind of thing, where you have one of them that is clearly the good guy, but the other one is at the same time, like you can sympathize with what he's doing, right? In the same way that you're like, yeah, Punisher, maybe I don't want you to kill everybody, but at the same time, I feel like some of these guys got it coming.
The anti-hero always become, it's weird. It's the anti-hero in Frank Castle and the anti-hero in Venom. I consider those two right there that have started out as villains, let's be honest, kind of have their own way about them when they do kill, in the case of Frank Castle. And you're right, they have them coming to him. You didn't have to root against it there. I know Matt Murdock's like that is supposed to be the justice system, but he's been screwed over by the justice system more than anybody else. And if he loses his shit, who's he to talk? He went way worse than Frank Castle did a few times. So
right,
he put that baton through someone's head, through the head. It wasn't even his back turned. So
Daredevil could be way worse than Punisher if he wanted to be.
Yeah, he was a lot worse. And there were a lot of runs of Daredevil. You were like, okay.
I really love it when bad guys are good guys temporarily. I mean, it's really cool when they make the change over to, of course, Hawkeye and Black Widow were bad guys before they became, Avengers.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, in I think Gleason and Tomasi's run, Superman or Action Comics, they kind of was building up Cyborg Superman to be like a good guy. And I was really, really excited to see him make that change. He was on the cusp of changing, and then Bendis took over, and that's what went to squat. So that was a huge bummer. But I was really excited to see that happen for at least an arc. You know what I mean? Like so. But,
I feel like every Jason story ends with, and then
Bendis came,
screwed it all up,
and then King came in.
No. Yeah, King came in. Bendis took over. Bendis took over.
Dude.
And then you wouldn't believe who came in next.
Comics will break your heart. Yeah.
So I have a genre I wanted to bring up. Let's talk about this Doctor Strange. What do we know? We know that it's something horror related, correct? It's fact. On D23 horror, they want to go down that road. Disney realizes that they're probably getting 70% of the market right now because they never really touch horror. I mean, let's be honest. Disney didn't buy Fox, and it's not like Disney Plus is not going to offer some of the Fox horror movies. They have to. Disney just can't buy that little piece and say, and we're never going to allow anybody to air to see the Fox ones. That's the best thing. I think right now the next thing that's going to come out of movies, and I'm thinking not Phase 5, I think there's going to be a sub thing. They're going to do as much what they want to do with Phase 4, test out the stream of Disney there, and they're going to bring back a classic thing from the 80s with a modern switch and everything else, and it's going to be Monsters Part 2. Like it's Universal, the original, like Draculas and everything else like
That'd be cool.
Going to bring in horror-based either TV series or a movie. I think it's going to happen. They're bringing in Moon Knight. You test the waters with those characters. Moon Knight, the cult following, because they listen to everybody. If they listen to the masses that go to see these movies outside of the comic book fans, nobody's going to know who Moon Knight is. So there are people that look at this that don't ogle it like we do. Like, okay, Moon Knight, One Night 32, we know everything about it. But there are people that don't understand that probably aren't going to care as much like that until they see it change.
I would say there's a large majority who have no clue who Moon Knight is and wouldn't care. I think it's going to be a tougher sell than people imagine.
That's where I'm saying. But I think if it does work, it opens up the door for the whole horror genre, and it may be a dark, nightish kind of thing going on. The one thing that, let's be honest, DC that can always stand there and say, we have Batman. I know it hasn't been great, but we've got Batman. We win.
Hard to argue with that.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue. We have Batman. You don't even have Spider-Man.
Can I tag in here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you mad? I'm sorry.
No.
I was coming in to agree with you.
No, I just want to know, everybody, by the way, welcome to Jimmy Buffett's Power Hour. Way to hear, you got to come in with like calypso music and stuff.
It's on the beach, man.
You should have a Hawaiian lay on.
Right near the beach.
Son of a bitch is in Schittsburg. Don't let him fool you.
No, the whole Scarlet Witch and Doc Strange is going to stem from the TV show.
Mhm.
The concept of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness movie is stemming from what's going to happen on Scarlet Witch and Vision show. The Scarlet Witch, and as far as Spec goes, now you guys might have to help me because I'm not familiar with this character. There is a woman on a superhero on the Ultimates. She's got a star on her chest. I'm trying to think who it is, but she's making her first appearance on Scarlet Witch as well. And the girl that played
Was it Spectrum?
I mean, the guy would be Damian Hellstorm.
So the Ultimates when they relaunched the Ultimates, I can pull up a picture.
Yeah, was it Spectrum?
Yes, yeah. So Spectrum's on that show. Also, the girl from Thor that was on Broke Girls.
Yeah.
She's going to be reprising her.
Darcy?
Yeah, she's reprising her Thor character on Scarlet Witch as well.
Darcy? Nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of what's going to happen is going to stem out of that show because she's recreating Vision. And if you look at the trailer, not the trailer, but the image for it.
Yeah, the image.
Yeah.
Their shadows.
Her shadow is wearing the original Scarlet Witch costume, and Vision is wearing, I mean, you can see where he had the stone in his forehead, but now it's see-through.
Yep.
So, like, a lot of things, because ultimately, I mean, she could have beat Thanos on her own. I mean, she warped the reality. She's very, very, very powerful. And so what she's going to be doing is going to be warping reality. And then Doc Strange is going to have to come in. And I think they kind of alluded to it in a backdoor kind of way that the villain's going to be Nightmare.
Yeah, well, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's another great.
You don't need to cast anybody. You don't need a body.
No, you just need a voice.
You need a good voice.
Yeah. So a lot of
you need a Daniel Day-Lewis freaking Gangs of New York freaking voice, Bill the Butcher kind of voice, Strange, that's the way you always think about how he talked. I don't know how.
I just think that show itself is going to probably have the most impact on what's to come.
I totally agree.
I kind of think that if you think how they did the films, the one that was right after the big one, in all cases, the big Avengers movie, the one after was always kind of like a lead into, really didn't go much. Iron Man 3 is a great example. We never heard that shit ever again. We never heard of that whatever, except for one episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that was there. Then you had but the one right after has always been there. So I think they're doing the same thing with the TV series, where the one right after, the first one that comes out is going to be Loki, and it's probably going to be pretty solid. And then they go on Winter Soldier. Is that the order?
I don't know.
I'm not sure if they have an order.
Yeah, so they're all dropping before the end of the year. Hawkeye, right. WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, and What If.
Right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first 2020. I think the first appearance of Nightmare might be Strange Tales 110, which is Doctor Strange's first appearance. That's be really pricey to get.
Yeah, if anybody wants to spec on that, it's been spec'd.
Yeah.
First appearance of Doctor Strange, Ancient One, Nightmare, and Wong. Also, first Pace Pot Pete Wizard.
Nice. That's awesome.
Team up hands right there.
I think.
Hey, do you see Doctor Strange on this cover anywhere? I see Pace Pot Pete though. Anyway, Doctor Strange, one of my favorite characters.
If you look right here, you can see. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, the original costume.
Yeah, but that show is going to have huge impacts, and I think a lot of stuff. And out of that, a good book to spec on is because the show is absolutely centered and created and like taken after is Tom King's Vision run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were talking about that last week.
Shared that and spec that last time. I totally agree that that's a better value, and it's a low print run too.
Yeah,
I was going to say it's a very low print run. I mean, I can tell you that was probably pull lists and 5 copies per LCS in a medium town I mean, it was probably one of those that they call the minor ones, like the kids versions, like the My Little Ponies.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly how they do it. You've got a pull list. You always fulfill that. And then you do 5 extra, and that's it. You don't go any more. You know, you go, you
slowly got that
out,
full run.
out.
Really hard to find them in a good grade and not mess up whatever. And then somehow in that collecting, I got 2 copies of the first issue, and I'm definitely going to be flipping one of those at some point because I know I totally agree. That's a nice spec book.
Absolutely great spec book there.
Yeah, I
those books I would actually say has been on the radar for a while. When 57 had its run up and then stalled because it's not the same. It's not the same kind of character. The early isn't the same as what you have in the movies.
Yeah.
They go way later on into the Avengers storyline for that. It's like West Coast Avengers, you know, crazy runs. So
I'm going to bounce out, guys, because I'm going to get over to book club. Thanks, Chad, for running the show. Thanks, gentlemen. Rocking it. Thanks, everybody in the chat.
And just going on that chat. Sorry, John. Is it going to be on your show or is it on White Whale?
It's going to be on White Whale Comics channel. We're doing Something's Killing the Children, and Bueller is joining us.
Awesome. See you there.
Very nice.
Bye, guys.
Very cool. All right. So,
dude, I also wanted to bring up, I know it's an expensive first appearance also, but Silver Surfer #3, Mephisto, first appearance.
Mephisto.
Yeah, that's been one of my want lists forever.
I think I'm bringing mine to Baltimore to get graded in part.
Oh, sick, dude. That's awesome.
I don't think it's going to get as high grade as other people think. I think my 4 was better, and that got a 7.5. But we'll see.
That's dope.
Some people say it's much nicer. I don't know.
I also think one more spec would be Fantastic, Ultimate Fantastic 21, 22, and 23.
Is that the maker?
That's the first zombies.
Yep.
Oh.
And
for zombies in comics, yeah.
And they're bringing.
That's part of my monster theory. That's part of my horror monster theory that I think they want to really get into it because it's a genre that this generation slowly lacks. No offense. Other than a bunch of, I like everybody, but this one thing is they lack good horror movies. The horror movies that have been out have been okay. It's all about fright. It's not about.
Yeah, I hate jump scares. They're so dumb. I haven't seen a good horror movie in forever.
You need we need the monsters back. That's what you need. You need, the monsters back. You know,
I
Vampire is way scarier than any of this other shit.
That one just hit DVD this week or last week.
Which one?
Banana Splits.
Oh yeah, I can't believe they turned the Banana Splits like that. That's so funny. That's so silly, man. Like, I don't know. It's such a wholesome thing to change into that. It's such a weird
Marty Krofft, man.
Such a weird licensing decision. Yeah, I don't get it.
Nice.
Chris Barrett says, "Make monsters great again."
Yeah, I mean, sure, make monsters.
Well, you live right beside, like, near a really cool themed bar.
Yeah, the Monster Club. I should have it. I'm gonna broadcast from there soon. I'm working with them on other things. And it's owned by Drastic Plastic there.
Dude, that's awesome. I gotta go there.
Yeah.
Monsters plus
Plastic.
Plastic.
If you like monster movies,
dude.
The downstairs is fully monster movie themed.
That's sick.
The upstairs is vinyls and posters, like original one of a kind posters from like early Pearl Jam shit.
Yeah.
Early stuff that they got. It's Drastic Plastic. They were like a public. They were I guess they were an indie label for a while, based here in Omaha, and they're really good. And they hooked me up with something pretty good. So
that's awesome.
And downstairs is all Universal or whatever. There's everything. They got a freaking Xenomorph on the wall over here. They freaking Pennywise standing over there. They got a Frankenstein right here. Old school Boris Karloff style, you know. They got people coming out of the wall. You got the Creature of the Black Lagoon next to there. They got the sickest Ash from the Evil Dead statue. It's small, but it's good. They got a great poster up there. They got Pinhead all over the place. It's crazy. They only show movies up there, and you get to vote on what movies you want to see. So you might say you want slasher, you want this, you want that. It's called the Monster Club, and upstairs.
Dude, that rules. I would be there like every day.
Yeah, and they have all
great beers on tap. Yeah, I'm sure.
This is good.
Dude, I'd be there every day. That's awesome.
It's food. You don't have to go. I mean, that's a good place. You know, kids change everything. When I was just living above bars and working and doing everything else, buying comics is all I did. Exactly what you're doing there.
Yeah.
But the best thing about it is you when you go there and you just get whatever you need. So look at
Lemieux.
This piece of shit.
The greatest to ever play the game.
All right, guys. This has been Unlimited show. We don't lie. We don't spec. And one thing I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not specking when I say this. Marilyn Lemieux, not that good.
So that's all I had to tell.